has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. All right, into the third hour. You want to get that SportsGrid app on iOS or Android. It's unbelievable because it's free and it's amazing. It's got the TV side on it. It's got the radio side on it. Follow your favorite hosts like Carver High. Get everything, in-game odds, you name it, with the SportsGrid app today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Hey, did you know we're streaming on X? In fact, we're streaming ass right now on X, and everybody's watching, and they dig it. It's 7 days per, baby. All you have to do is go to SportsGrid-Live on X to watch SportsGrid now streaming on X. You can get the Ferrall Coast to Coast full 3 hour and Ferrall on a Bench podcast every day, Monday through Friday on Apple, iTunes, or wherever you get podcasts. Let's look at the lineup tonight on SportsGrid TV at 6 Eastern. It's GTD, Game Time Decisions with the Kevin Walsh, right after this very show. And then at 8 o'clock, it's the original OG, In-Game Live, with Scott Wetzel and Dave Sherapan. Opposite picks and the sportsbook consigliere. It's all evolving rapidly. And then at 10, it's our boy Morency. Sports Rage from 10 to midnight with his friends, including the Prime Minister, Cam Stewart, live. And then on SportsGrid Radio at 8 to 10, it's Carver and Lisi. So you get it all with SportsGrid TV and SportsGrid Radio. And we continue on here in the coup de grace by going to baseball.
We certainly do that now. Of course, there was a lot that happened over the weekend, and we have several games tonight that we have to get to, including some home run balls. The Yankees swept a doubleheader from Toronto yesterday after they were rained out on Saturday, winning on both ends. In the first game, they hit Kevin Gossman hard. The final blow for him was Austin Wells.
Did you see him fall down the stairs?
He did not have a good day. Walked like 6 guys. He was in all kinds of problems. And then Austin Wells almost cleared him out for a grand slam, but he'll settle for a 3-run double on the Yes Network.
High fly ball, right center field. On the run is Springer. He's not going to get there. It's off the wall. 1-run scores. 2-run score. Everyone scores. A bases clearing double for Wells. And the Yankees lead 6-1.
Yeah, that was huge for the Yankees. They weren't done there, Carver High.
They were not done there, of course. They got it done in the second game as well. Judge had a home run. How about Friday night? Devin Williams melted down again. He has now been removed as the Yankee closer for now. Of course, Boone said that's not a permanent thing, but they want to get him back on track. He's having some trouble there in the ninth inning.
In the head.
Yes. You look at him, especially with him on Friday night, he looked like the last place he wants to be is in the Bronx, playing for the Yankees. He want no part of it.
Go back to Milwaukee then, sissy lips.
I know it's only been a month, and let's see if this continues on, but we've seen in the past too many guys who come to New York from smaller places, smaller markets, and they can't get it done here, whether it's the Sonny Grays or the Javi Vasquezes or any of these other guys. Some guys just, they don't want any part of it, and Williams has had a rough first month. Let's see if it turns around for him going forward.
What's the matter, girly man? You're having problems, girly.
Lou said they should make him shave after all that. They should make him shave his beard for how bad he's performed. Jazz Chisholm's 1-game suspension from last week has been dropped, but he still has to pay the FedEx, the fine. He still has to pay that. The Tigers beat the Orioles. They swept the entire weekend from the Orioles. Skubal had 11 Ks in 6 innings. Twins swept the weekend from the Angels. Red Sox beat up Cleveland yesterday. Astros beat the Royals 7-3. The Reds beat the Rockies 8-1. They took all 3 games. The Rockies are horrible. I mean,
you can't even. Go back to that Red Sox game. Did you see Duran getting the business from the fan, making fun of him committing suicide, trying to kill himself?
And he went after him, to be fair. He went right back at the fan, and then he got the guy, I guess, got him thrown out. And all the good job by the other people in Cleveland all pointed the guy out to security and whatnot. But yes, Duran has been here. He heard it yesterday. in Cleveland. As I was saying, the Rockies are they're 4-23 now after
they're
those
awful.
4-23. That's pathetic.
Season over.
The Giants beat the Rangers 3-2. How about this? The walk-off Little League home run for Heliot Ramos on NBC Sports Bay Area yesterday.
Ramos is 1 for 2. Taps this one to third. And he sails it down the right field line. Ramos is on the move. And he is going to stop. No, now he's going to go to third. Here's the throw. It gets by him. Here comes Ramos. This game is over.
You got to be kidding me! And that was like a tapper off at a home plate, and it literally went 10 feet, and then he got a home run out of it. You got to be kidding me!
You got to be kidding me! That's baseball. Crazy things do happen, as always. The A's beat the White Sox 3-2 in 10. The Diamondbacks beat the Braves 6-4. But I want to talk to you about the Diamondback-Brave game on Saturday night. Eugenio Suarez, 19th player in Major League history.
Suarez.
19th player to hit 4 homers in a game. And how about this? The fourth one of those 19 who lost the game when they hit 4 home runs. I mean, does that still count in the you lose, who cares? I mean, it's something that's only been done 19 times in Major League history. You lose, who cares? Nobody wants to hear about it. You know, nobody wants to hear your 4 home run game. He now leads the MLB with 10, and I think 7 of them are in 2 games. Guy's got 10 homers this year. He had a 3 home run game in like the first week of the season, then a 4 home run game on Saturday night. And he's hitting like 125.
You got to put him up on that rack. On that rack. You got to put him on that ring the belt rack.
Get him on the rack. Mariners beat the Marlins 7-6. The Mariners put Logan Gilbert Grape on the IL with an elbow flexor strain. He left the game Friday night after 3 innings. He had some forearm tightness. That's not a good scene for him. The Dodgers beat the Pirates 9-2. But the Pirates did get a game on Friday night, and Skeens was excellent against L.A. 9 strikeouts and 6 1/3 shutout innings. In 29 career starts now for Skeens, he's just about 1 full year in the majors. 209 Ks. He's allowed 39 earned runs for a 2.06. Did you watch him Friday night at Chavez Ravine?
Yes, and I think those numbers, believe it or not, have never been accomplished before by someone that age.
Yeah, unbelievable start for him. And you know what? You were talking Friday, and you were talking to Scott Miller. You're talking about how he's hasn't looked like himself. He's had a lot of outside the game distractions to start the year. Man, he looked like the guy who started the All-Star game last year on Friday night. He was dialed in.
He was amazing. Did you see him strike out Ohtani with that movement? Yeah. Like, it humiliated him.
He has. And by the way, this hasn't been talked about a lot because it's the Dodgers and it's Ohtani. Go look at Ohtani's numbers. He has sucked the first month. He has not been good. He is not off to a good start.
Judge is better.
Well, Judge is better than everybody right now. The way
He's better than him.
Going.
He's better than everybody. He's better than him. And they all say that they say that Ohtani's better than Judge. That's all I ever hear.
Yes.
Last year when they both won MVP, they said Ohtani's better. Who's laughing now?
Now, I say that Ohtani's out to a slow start. He'll probably hit 2 or 3 homers tonight now, Ohtani. So you never know. Rays swept the Padres in San Diego this weekend, and the Phillies beat the Cubs last night 3-1 in 10. We will do all of tonight's games and the homers when we come back for baseball.
So what do you give me? Like, do you give me any kind of evaluation on being a gamer today and showing up as sick as a dog and still, game timing it?
Tremendous job.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I'm still optimistic eventually this will happen and they'll get it together. I mean, if Florida can get their act together, Sam, with the tribes, I believe that California can too.
Would bring a lot of money to the tribe, which is also something they really care about. It's an $8 billion market. Conservatively, it could be even more when it legalizes. The sports books would be sharing revenue with the tribes, essentially doing all their operations and forking over a percentage directly to the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC. That is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
All right, there's action tonight, believe it or not, around the show. And really all that matters to me is that Yankee game. Let's get real here.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of games in baseball tonight. We'll start in Cleveland, where the Twins and the Guardians will get together. Bailey Ober and Gavin Williams tonight. Minus 130 for Cleveland, plus $110 for the Twins, and an 8.5.
I think Williams will win, and he'll beat Ober, Juan Kenobi at Progressive and the Land. I like the Guards at home. I think the Twins stink.
The Twins do stink, that's for sure. The Orioles have had all kinds of problems, Scotty. They've lost 6 of their last 7 games as the Yankees come to Camden Yards this evening for the first time this year between these two. You will get Will Warren for the Yankees. Sugano's going for the O's. Yankees minus 135, plus $1.15 for Baltimore, and a big fat, and for good reason, 9.5.
Yeah, I like the Yankees at that price. And the Orioles haven't been winning, and the Yankees have, and they're hot, and they got all the bats, and Judge and Goldschmidt are hitting the way they are. I'm not betting against that. I mean, the Orioles have stunk too.
Yeah, they certainly have. St. Louis is in Cincinnati against the Reds. Andre Pallant against Nick Martinez tonight. Reds minus $1.20, even money for the Redbirds, 9.5 the total.
I'm taking the Redlegs at home at Great American, and certainly not because of Martinez, who has been ass mustard. I'm going to still take them based on their bats. They're winning. Cards don't win, right? Like, so the Reds have been decent. I'll take the Reds either way. I'll go Rogie Vachon, even though they're favored. This guy, Martinez, he's been awful.
He has been awful. The A's head to Texas to take on the Rangers. Start of a 4-game series in Arlington. They beat them 2 out of 3 in Sacramento last week. A's beat the White Sox 2 out of 3 in Sacramento this weekend. They are now 14-14 as they hit Arlington here, about to flip the calendar to May. It will be J.P. Sears and Roebuck tonight against Patrick Corbin for the Rangers. I got this at minus 110 both ways for the pick'em, and a big 9.5.
Yeah, I like Corbin and the Rangers at home at the Globe.
The Tigers will be in Houston against the Astros. Jack Flaherty and Ronel Blanco tonight. Minus 125 for the Stros, plus 105 for the Tigers, and a 7.5.
Jesus, I am all over the Tigers and Flaherty on the road in Houston. I think the Tigers have the best record in baseball now. Don't they? I think
Tigers
they do. Or
at this
in the
point,
American League.
In the AL, they do, yes. American League, they have the best record.
Give me Flaherty and the Tigers.
Yeah, they are just they're one game back of the Mets for the best record in all of baseball at this point. Tigers playing good ball. The Braves will be in Colorado against the Rockies to open a series. Bryce Elder and Ryan Feltner. Man, that smells like a gas can convention right there. Braves minus 185, Rockies plus $1.55, and a 10.5.
I like the elder statesman and the Braves to rack the lousy Rockies and your boy Feltner up.
And finally, the Marlins will be in L.A. against the Dodgers, who have not been playing as well the last couple of weeks. It'll be Edward Cabrera tonight against Dustin May, but heavy lumber nonetheless. Minus 275 for the Dodgers, plus 225 for the Fish, and an 8.5.
Listen, I'm going to run line the Dodgers, and I'm going over 8.5 because they are going to beat the snot out of this guy Cabrera. He gives up 6-7 runs a game.
He stinks. They are going to beat the snot out of him tonight. That's going to be a very, very tough scene for the Fish out in L.A. All right, there you go. Games for tonight. Of course, we also want to try to get a little tater action for this evening as well. We'll start in Colorado. You heard me give you that comment about the gas cans. I mean, it's got to be on for the Braves. I'm thinking the Rockies will probably hit a couple as well, but I'm going to go Austin Riley at plus 390 for Atlanta in that one. Jose Ramirez, Ober stinks. He gives up tons of home runs. Ramirez has one against him in his career. Plus 4 bills for Jose. We had him Friday night. They got rained out. Let's go to him tonight. Marcus Semien, 2 homers off of J.P. Sears and Roebuck in his career. Plus 520. I don't trust Will Warren against any power-hitting lefty that the Orioles are going to throw up there tonight. Gunnar Henderson, plus 560 off of Warren. I'm taking a deep shot with the Redbirds tonight. Brendan Donovan has a homer off of Martinez in his career. Brendan, don't call me Ray Donovan at plus 650. And for the late-night game, you mentioned the Dodgers should be able to score a bunch of runs. Well, let's get Mookie Betts involved. The price really jumped out to me, plus 650. It's been about a week and a half or so since Betts has homered. We'll go to him tonight. So Riley, Ramirez, Semien, Gunnar, Donovan, Betts, taters for Monday night. Let's go.
You can't beat that. And I always like to throw Will Smith in there. That guy hits a lot of home runs too. I won't be surprised if Ohtani starts cooking all of a sudden either. They're going to take advantage of this team this week like nobody's business.
Yeah, this is a tough scene for the Fish, who honestly they did play well in Seattle over the weekend. And did you see this kid that they called up and the start that he's off to? He was playing. He's a catcher by trade. He's been DHing. Agustin Ramirez, who's hitting 308. He's already got 3 homers. He's off to a great start for him. 9 for 19 with 3 homers since he got called up last week. Good start.
He's on the Fish?
On the Marlins, yeah. He hit a bunch of homers over the weekend in Seattle. He was in the Chisholm trade, so that's where the Marlins got him from. And he's been hitting with a big stick lately, so keep an eye on him.
I still like Jazz's style, but he sucks too. Like, he hits 1 hit a week.
He's home run, and it's either a home run or a strikeout with Jazz.
But he got a lot of flair for a guy that never hits.
He doesn't get a lot of them. All right, going to do a lot of NFL draft with Adam Kaplan soon. I'll give you some NFL draft as well, including about the Steelers board. You want to see all the guys the Steelers took? Will Howard?
That's all that matters.
Oh,
he wins titles.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try Blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 18.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We know your other brother Marv did the Knicks forever, but you've done just about every team in the league. You did games. Yeah. You did Dr. J games.
But after 45 years in this crazy business, people kept telling me, you got to write a book. So I did, and here it is.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Honestly, I don't know why you femmes don't follow us. You can follow us on X at Carver High, at Ferrall on Bench, at Ferrall on Grid, at Scott Ferrall. Like, what are you doing over there? I mean, honestly, get in the game, son. I mean, what are you waiting for? Utopia? Honest to God. All right, let's talk NFL, Skinny.
Yeah, of course, the NFL draft concluded over the weekend. It's in the books, all 7 rounds. All the draft gurus have all given their grades. This is an A before a guy takes a snap.
Losers.
This is a C before a guy takes a snap. This will be, you have no idea who's going to do what. 79 players taken from the SEC. That's the most from one conference in NFL draft
Gee, what a
history.
surprise.
Well, it all, the number's a little skewed, too, considering, they got like 18 teams now. All these, the SEC and the Big Ten, they swallowed up all the other conferences. So what do you expect? Of course they're going to have the most
I'm not surprised
players.
at all that it happened. I mean, next year probably be 90.
What are we doing here? You always say you don't want to hear about what the Steelers did until it's over. Well, there it is. Their entire draft class, Derek Harmon, Caleb Johnson, the running back from Iowa. How about that Jack Sawyer? Remember that play he made in the playoffs for Ohio State? He's a good player. The kid Black, the DT from Iowa. Will Howard, Carson Bruner, Dante Kent. The Steelers draft class.
Yeah, listen, I'll give him this. That kid, Will Howard, he won the Big 12 championship. Then he went to Ohio State. He won the national championship. Everybody talks about how he sucks as he's winning titles. So all I know is I watched that guy just throwing ropes to those stud receivers, Smith, Ibuka. He can throw it and sling it on the money, on the hizzy, on any route you want in football. That's all there is to it. So if they can turn him into something, because they haven't turned anybody else into anything except a pile of shack. Okay, so I think their coaching has been atrocious with these quarterbacks. Honestly, I mean, what I saw in December from Russell Wilson, I wanted to jump into the Allegheny River. When I left the game, I wanted to jump in the freezing cold river. So can they just get this kid and bring him along the right way? Because I think he's got talent. I really do. Now, everyone thinks he sucks, and Everybody wanted him to draft Shedeur Sanders. You talk about sucks. I mean, I wanted no part of that kid and his sideshow. I mean, did you see this kid? Now, listen, I hope he has a great career. I could care less. I have no bones in this. But when he goes to a party and he's trying to be Floyd Mayweather and showing briefcases full of money, when you're a 5th round pick, you're embarrassing. Like, bro, you ain't making no money. Trust me, you get drafted in the 1st round, you're rich. You get drafted in the 5th round, you ain't got no money in that briefcase. Somebody lent you that money because he's tripping. This kid is tripping. He thinks he's better than everybody in the NFL, and he's out of his mind. He's out of his mind. And you know what did it to him? That father of his. That wacko father of his who thinks he's better than everybody still, too. My man, Dion, he can't even walk anymore. Didn't they, cut off his toes? He still thinks he can play in the NFL, this guy. Calm down on this guy, Sanders. Christ, I have never seen a draft ruined as badly as this draft was ruined with 3 days of Shedeur Sanders talk. The best thing I saw was that kid pranking his ass, to be honest with you. That kid got busted cold turkey, but it was funny. I don't care what you say. That was funny.
And
now, I'm sure his dad grounded him for the summer, but his dad's a hack coach too. So I thought the kid pulled up. That was classic.
How you gonna ground him? The kid's going to school at Ole Miss. I guess you could take his, take something away from him. I guess his stipend that he gets every month. That, of course, was the son of Falcons defensive coordinator, former Jet interim coach Jeff Ulbrich. His son was the one behind the prank phone call to Shedeur.
How great is that? Can you imagine the embarrassment of his dad that the kid did that?
Yeah,
but it was funny. You got to admit.
That is some Motley Crue quarterback room that Cleveland's going to have this year. Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders.
They've already declined Kenny's
Dylan Gabriel.
year.
Well, I don't blame him for that. That's a lot of guys in there. That should be a lot of fun.
Dylan Gabriel's better than Sanders too.
He went before him in the draft. Plenty of quarterbacks did. A lot of guys went before Sanders.
Penny Smallhands.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That was the magic of Tiger to me. Why did my mom care about when Tiger was playing? Because you might see something with every shot that you've never seen before. And that was, to me, the magnetic quality. And those guys have a little bit of that, but there aren't a ton of them. So to have those guys in the mix on the big weeks is great for the game.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Adam Kaplan is our NFL insider. He's covered the NFL for almost 30 years. He's been on Coast to Coast with us every week for 6 years, dominating all others in his field. You can follow him at Kaplan NFL. I have to ask you, have you ever seen anything worse than seeing that kid showing a briefcase full of money at his party after he was drafted in the 5th round? Let me tell you something. He's going to be in for a rude awakening when they see that first offer they make him in Cleveland that isn't worth jack compared to what those first and second rounders make.
I know. So you talk about Shedeur Sanders, obviously, Scott. So obviously that was a big story for us on SportsGrid. On Thursday and Friday night on our coverage, which was, listen, it set the table up for everything. It really did because, Scott, you and I have talked about for a number of weeks and months how this quarterback draft is not very good. It kind of played out that way. You and I talked during the week. I said Shedeur's probably not going to go to Pittsburgh. Doesn't sound like they want him. But I never saw him going to the 5th round. That was a stunner. We'll get into the reasons for a second. But I will tell you that him going to Cleveland, the two teams that I thought of on Friday, and it would play out, is Cleveland and Miami were the two best places for him for the future. Why? Miami, because of Tua's injury history. Zach Wilson's the backup. So that was an obvious good landing spot potentially. And then Cleveland, Scott, Flacco, 1-year deal. Kenny Pickett, last year of his rookie deal. Watson probably will not be available this season. And then they drafted Dylan Gabriel, which was kind of a surprise earlier in the 3rd round. Dylan Gabriel's a small quarterback, big-time numbers at Oregon. I saw him at the Senior Bowl. He's a pretty short guy, small in stature. And they got Sanders. So if you just play the situation out, Scott, late in the season, right, you were talking about weeks 14, 15, or 16, when they're likely to be eliminated, the Browns, for the playoffs.
Right.
That's the time to play this quarterback. That is absolutely the time to take a look at him and see what he's got. He's more talented than Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel is a better athlete in terms of movement and running. That's fine. But Shedeur Sanders is a pure pocket passer, and he fits what Kevin Stefanski wants. And Stefanski, I know the way that he deals with quarterbacks, it's from the pocket. And Shedeur, long-term, fits it pretty well.
So this kid, Dylan Gabriel, put up staggering numbers at Oregon. So I want to know, is that because of the players around him like Tez Johnson, or is that because he's good? Because they drafted him first, but you're telling me that the future is Sanders 1 and Gabriel 2, because I agree with you that the other 3 guys are going to be toast after this year. I think the future is Sanders and Gabriel.
Well, no question right now it is. Now, yes, you're correct. Gabriel was drafted earlier, and they had a higher grade on him. But the bottom line is they did trade up for Shedeur Sanders. They saw the great value. I guess there's a story from NFL Network. The Eagles had interest in him, so the Browns traded up to make sure they secured him. But what I'm telling you is the best chance for Shedeur to start would be with the Browns here, particularly past this season. This very well could be Watson's last year with the club. You've got Gabriel. Now, Dylan Gabriel is shorter than 6 feet, Scott. I saw him at the Senior Bowl. He's slight in stature, and he doesn't have a great arm. He's pretty accurate. Okay, he's a good athlete. He's a little bit of a better athlete than Shedeur Sanders.
Why did they draft him?
Projected to be a starter. What's that?
So why'd they draft him?
They liked him. They had a good enough grade on him. But listen, the Browns liked him probably more than other teams I spoke with. Other teams I spoke with had a 5th or 6th round grade on him. It only matters what kind of grade they had on him. They took him where they thought he was of value. But Shedeur Sanders, Scott, again, you look at the body of work. Now, what I could tell you is, why did he drop? Let's get to that. That's very important. And 75% of a player's grade is coaching tape, right? The all-22. The tape is very average, okay, or above average. It's not great tape, but he's very accurate. He processes fairly well. But when you break down his tape, you go, what? You're not really wowed by his game tape. That's part of why he dropped. You could definitely make the argument that he should have dropped to the 3rd. But then you have everything else. You've got the issue, and this is something that one team told me I thought was fascinating. What happens when we get to weeks 14, 15, or 16, when the Browns are likely eliminated, and they haven't made a decision who's starting? And what if they go to Dylan Gabriel, which could happen, over Shedeur? What happens with his father, Dion, when the local media in Colorado keep asking him about it? You saw what Dion had to say on Twitter well before his son was picked. And does that become a problem locally or nationally? And this is what teams don't like, Scott. They don't want this off-the-field stuff. They don't want to be asked about it. Now, Kevin Stefanski's dealt with Deshaun Watson stuff since he was acquired in 2022. He's a guy who's been around the league a long time. He'll be able to handle it. But again, being asked about the situation, having to deal with a sideshow is not what clubs like. That was part of why he dropped. But the biggest reason is clubs were not really enamored with his tape. And that's the main reason why he dropped, but that's not the only reason.
Was there a part of that 25% that just said he's so painful, his personality and his cockiness and his attitude, and that, there were reports of he didn't show up for meetings prepared, and that he just thinks he's above it all, and he's not anything yet. He's nothing yet. And he acted like he was above everyone else and better than everyone else. Were they turned off by that? They had to be.
Yeah, part of it, and I'll add that to that percentage, is some teams felt that he did not interview well with them. He didn't connect very well. That's part of it. Look, I could go back to 2013 when Geno Smith was Chip Kelly's chosen quarterback heading into the process. The Eagles brass met with Geno Smith before West Virginia's pro day. His interview went poorly, and the Eagles decided they weren't going to draft him. If you don't interview well, more often than not, it doesn't go well for the player, no matter what position you're in, where they drop you down. So the bottom line is, though, Scott, to move along here, I think Shedeur Sanders, despite all of this, went to actually a really good situation. And I like their draft. That by the way, you and I were not on the air when this happened. I love that Travis Hunter trade for them. I understand they pass it up on a potential generational player, but he is not a quarterback, Scott. Yes, he may go two ways or receiver more than corner for Jacksonville, but they got a haul, and they have Jacksonville's first-round pick next year, which could be top 5 to top 10.
And so who are your best drafts? Like, which teams?
Yeah, my team, Scott, I love what the Giants did. Of course, they got Abdul Carter. We knew that was going to happen. They traded up for Jackson Dart, which was the smart money play. We talked about this as the first round went along on Thursday's coverage here at SportsGrid. Now, this pick is phenomenal. I love this pick. Darius Alexander, their third-round defensive tackle out of Toledo. Now, why did he drop to the third? He is older. He turns 25 right before the season starts. So the question is, Scott, and this is what a couple teams told me, will he make it to a second contract? Because he'll be 29 when he gets to year 5, and you worry about that.
Right.
But this is a good value for now. And then I love Cam Scatterbo. Scatterbo, Scott, one team told me they actually saw him as a Kyle Juszczyk athletic fullback type, but he's more athletic than Juszczyk. They got him in the 4th round. He might wind up being their starting running back. And Marcus Embo is a good value as a guard. He could play right tackle, but I'm told he's more of a guard. They did very well, Scott. This team, if they could get much better play at quarterback, and obviously they're expecting to with Russell Wilson, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but why are 8 or 9 wins not a possibility for this team if everybody's healthy and the rookies play well?
I agree with you, and I think the Scatterbo pick was kind of genius out of nowhere. Yep. No one saw that coming, although I love that guy as a player. I think he's a stud. What about the Bears, Bills, and Pats? You had them listed high as well.
I love the Bears pick. I know some people are scratching their heads. Why Colston Loveland? Remember, Ben Johnson is one of the most innovative play callers and play design schemers in the National Football League. He'll call the plays. He's their head coach. Loveland gives them an additional weapon on offense, another option. He'll be their move tight end. Cole Kmet will be their inline tight end. Luther Burden, very good value. I'm told he didn't really interview well with some teams. That's why he dropped to the 2nd round. He's a receiver out of Missouri. Ozzie Trapillo, big-time tackle, left and right tackle out of Boston College. And Shamar Turner, a really good value out of Texas A&M, was a D tackle, and they needed help there. And then the Bills, I love what they did. The fastest corner for the draft, Maxwell Hairston, TJ Sanders, they needed help at D tackle. And Landon Jackson, one of my favorite players for the draft, he could play D tackle, he could play end and nickel, he could play inside. I'm surprised he's out of Arkansas that he dropped to the 3rd round. I thought the Bills did very well. And Scott, the Patriots, they got Will Campbell. I told you, it's either Will Campbell or they go somewhere else for left tackle. But they went with them, and that was the guy. Travion Henderson. Running back.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That was the magic of Tiger to me. Why did my mom care about when Tiger was playing? Because you might see something with every shot that you've never seen before. And that was, to me, the magnetic quality. And those guys have a little bit of that, but there aren't a ton of them. So to have those guys in the mix on the big weeks, it's great for the game.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're talking to Adam Kaplan, our NFL insider. I want to go back to the Patriots for a second. I love that Travion Henderson pick, and they love Williams, the wide receiver that they got. So the Pats and Vrabel have to be stoked at that draft they just had.
They do. So Will Campbell, Scott, talking to the Patriots, they're okay with the arm length. They know what's out there. They understand what less than 33-inch arms are for left tackle, but they also know he was a great left tackle. So he'll start day one. Travion Henderson is the best pass protecting back for this draft. He's explosive. He's a little bit light, and he'll pair up with Ramondre Stevenson running back. This is a good value pick. They love Kyle Williams. He's one of the fastest, most explosive players on tape at receiver for this draft. He'll compete very early on for playing time. Jared Wilson will compete for time at center. Remember, David Andrews no longer there. And Braden Swinson, one of the sleeper edge rusher picks late. They got him in the 5th round. That seemed to be a good value. They did very well. Elliott Wolf and Mike Vrabel did very well out of this draft. And it's not like we're going to pick the Bills to get in the playoffs year one of this group. That's not going to happen because the Bills are the class, but the Patriots they had a good draft. But they have to feel pretty good about what they got. And remember that Drake May was way better than most people expected last year at quarterback.
No doubt. I want to get your thoughts on the champs and on the Steelers.
All right, so you said the champs and the Eagles. They took Campbell. Now Jihad Campbell is interesting. Scott, he went to Alabama as an edge rusher. Due to necessity, he got moved to inside backer, where he played mostly the last 2 seasons and did a nice job. Now, he had labrum surgery, shoulder surgery, so he won't be able to have contact until August, most likely. But he's going to be cross-trained. They're going to start him at inside backer first when he's allowed to practice. He'll be in the room. He'll be in the inside backer room, learning the classroom there about that position, the way that they're going to teach it here. So they felt that they did really well there. And they went with Andrew McCuba in the 2nd round, who's a corner, Scott, but he's a little bit slight of build. But he's very aggressive, good coverage player. They addressed a lot of needs as the draft went on. And what's funny about the Chiefs? The Chiefs were a team, when you really look at what they did, Scott, they addressed a lot of needs. I like what they did with Josh Simmons, who's going to play tackle for them. Norman Lott is a D tackle where they were kind of light on depth. I love the kid Royals, who's a receiver out of Utah State who could run pretty well. He's a playmaker. I thought they addressed some needs. But I thought the Bills did a phenomenal job, Scott. I thought the Bills, if we ranked them, are right up there. Hairston, the corner of Kentucky. Now, Scott, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but could flat out fly. I mentioned Landon Jackson, who I absolutely love. By the way, they're the class of that division. When you look at the future number, Scott, they're my number 1 team to win their division at -300. it's such a landslide. The Dolphins have got all sorts of problems with their offensive line. They were unable to trade Jalen Ramsey. The Dolphins are plus 550 to win that division. The Patriots are plus 750, which, by the way, is not as bad as you would think. And then, of course, the Jets are plus 1,500. Now, let's get to your division, the AFC North, where the Ravens are minus 135. I do like them at minus 135. But once and if the Steelers get Rodgers, and by the way, they're plus 600, Scott. They're plus 600. And the Bengals are plus 200. I would put the Steelers over the Bengals if they get Rodgers. They did get Will Howard, by the way, in the 6th. The Ohio State quarterback will vie for a backup job, and the Browns are plus 3,000. The Texans, they're another one that I really love. The Texans are plus 100. In fact, the fact that you could get them at plus 100 at this point, remember we said last May, get on the Steelers at over 7.5. That's how strongly I feel about the Bills and the Texans. The Texans are plus 100 to win the division. They have the best roster in that division. They're clearly the best team. Now, this is interesting. The Chiefs are only minus, Scott, 150 to win their division, the AFC West. The Chargers are getting some respect at plus 190, plus 290. They didn't draft a corner to me, which is surprising. They're still kind of weak at corner. Looking at the NFC East, I'm going to surprise people here. You and I have talked about this, Scott. The NFC East, no team has repeated that division, which only has 4, by the way, since 2004. Okay, the Eagles are minus 175. They're the clear favorite. The Commanders are plus 225. They've had an outstanding offseason. They significantly helped their offensive line, which they know they needed help with. They addressed a lot of needs on defense. You saw what they did in that division. I know the Eagles smoked them in the playoffs. They got boat raced, no question about it. But the Commanders are starting to close that gap. And again, it's been 21 years since we've had a repeat winner, folks. I'm just saying. I know the Eagles won the Super Bowl, but if you're looking to get a really good value, the Commanders would be a great value, Scott. I think at plus 225.
I mean, it's a good value, but do you really think they're beating your Eagles? After what we saw them do to them.
I hear you, Scott. But here's the thing. They address a lot of their offensive line struggled against the Eagles. They helped themselves with Deebo Samuel.
Struggled. I mean,
they got absolutely hammered. Let's finish this off. The NFC North, the Lions are plus 120. The Packers will always have this great roster, but they never win the playoffs, are plus 280. The Bears, who everybody's darling again, are plus 425. How about the Vikings finishing last by the book? They're plus 475. The perennial winner of the NFC South, the Bucs, are plus 210, Scott. They're actually plus. The Falcons, who everybody are thinking that are going to be the team on the rise, are plus 220. The Panthers plus 450. Saints plus 800. And finally, the West. This one is a tough one. The Niners are plus 140. They're the favorite right now. The Rams are right behind them. They didn't address corner like I thought they would. They did not. We'll see if they reacquire Jalen Ramsey to plus 165. The Cardinals and Seahawks are plus 600. The Seahawks are my upset special, plus 600. That's pretty good money right now.
See, the Seahawks are going to win the West, is what you're telling me?
They're plus, man. What have the Niners done to believe that they're plus money, by the way? Why are people so enamored with the 49ers after they crashed and burned last season?
I'm not enamored with the 49ers. In fact, I love watching them lose more than anything in the NFL. Watching them not get a 6th Super Bowl is my middle name. But you think Seattle's taking that division?
That is my sleeper pick out of all 8 divisions. Oh. That's my upset special to take the Seahawks. By the way, the Cardinals and Seahawks at plus 600. So that tells you kind of where, look, the odds makers don't always get it right. When you look at these teams now in late April, we're almost in May now. You're just talking about what they did in the draft. We don't know how the rest of the offseason will work. But I do like the Seahawks as an upset special.
The odds makers do that on purpose. They get it wrong on purpose. Great job on Thursday and Friday on SportsGrid with your coverage.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That was the magic of Tiger to me. Why did my mom care about when Tiger was playing? Because you might see something with every shot that you've never seen before. And that was, to me, the magnetic quality. And those guys have a little bit of that, but there aren't a ton of them. So to have those guys in the mix on the big weeks, it's great for the game.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Everybody loves leftovers.
They certainly do. By the way, the Mets are up 6-0 on the Nationals. They just got a 3-run homer from Brandon Nimmo, and they are well on their way down in D.C. All right, the Panthers signed wide receiver Hunter Renfrow, of course, formerly of the Raiders. He didn't play at all in 2024. He will now play for Carolina. Broncos linebacker Dre Greenlaw, who they just signed from the Niners this offseason, suffered a quad injury. Not a good scene for Greenlaw. The Seahawks traded... He tore it. The Seahawks, of course, drafted Jalen Milroe over the weekend. They then traded Sam Howell to the Minnesota Vikings. Did you see the clips or watch the whole thing of that Belichick interview on CBS?
Yes.
How bizarre was that? First, him wearing the Navy sweatshirt with all the holes in it. And second, the girlfriend. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. That was bizarre.
I thought she was as painful as any human being could possibly be in any moment whatsoever. Her on television telling that guy to not ask questions. I mean, honestly, gag me. How painful was that chick? No one knows her. Now they know her. Everyone now knows that she's a massive B.
And they said somebody had her story that they put that in because it happened several times. It's not like it happened once. They could have just left it out. Several times she interjected into the interview.
24 years old? Who does she think she is?
24 years old.
Shut up.
The Washington Commanders agreed to a deal with the District of Columbia to build a new football stadium at the old RFK site. Getting the Washington football team back in the District of Columbia will make a lot of people happy. And they're going to put a roof on it. How about that? Super Bowls, etc.
I bet that ground's toxic.
For Washington. It's very possible as well. How about another Golf Wednesday winner this past weekend? For myself, Cam, Brady, we all had Andrew Novak and Ben Griffith. They win the Zurich Classic. Nice little 22-1 hit for those guys. First win on the PGA Tour for both of them. Your boy, that kid, the Duke freshman, Maluk, declares for the NBA draft. He gone.
Did you think about that? He changed his mind. He was so awful in the Final Four.
He was awful.
He didn't get one rebound. He didn't get one rebound. Bro, you're dead meat in the NBA with that skinny ass of yours.
Wrexham United promoted to the English Championship League. Of course, everybody loves Wrexham now since they were on the FX show. They are now one stop away from the Premier League. They've been promoted 3 consecutive seasons. They were bought for $2.5 million. They now generate, $30+ million a year. So Wrexham United on a bullet to the Premier League.
McElhenney
You
and
love that
Reynolds. What an
show.
investment. Unbelievable. How about Liverpool?
Yes. Liverpool beat Tottenham 5-1. They won the Premier League title. Mo Salah moves into 5th all-time on the Premier League scoring list with a goal in that game. So big weekend for Liverpool. They own the Premier League.
What else is new? The Ferrall finish, at least 11 people killed after a car was driven through a crowd at a Vancouver, Canada festival. Another person driving a vehicle and killing people like they did in New Orleans. I mean, it is just unbelievable. Meta allows Facebook, Instagram, AI bots to engage in sex talk with kids, including in the voice of Disney characters and celebrities. Nothing like having your kids talk to in sex voices from Disney World. That just has to be the worst thing ever. 1 dead and 11 injured in a mass shooting in a tourist hotspot in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And you thought you were just going golfing. And the next thing you knew, you were running for your life. A married UK principal attacks a teacher with a wrench due to overwhelming sexual jealousy developed by a wild love triangle. I mean, that is fantastic. It's one thing to be in a wild love triangle. It's another thing to take out people with a wrench and just start beating people with a big old tool from the shed. I mean, what is happening? Titanic letter mailed before the ship sinking sells for $400,000 at auction. They just can never stop with the Titanic stories. I mean, it has been going on forever. And I can't even do it anymore. I'm so sick. GTD is next with the Kevin Walsh. I'm going to go cough my brains out and blow my nose until my nose is raw and red. I'll see you again tomorrow. Get my app, search Ferrall. We'll see you at 3 on Tuesday on Coast to Coast.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try Blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 18.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We know your other brother Marv did the Knicks forever, but you've done just about every team in the league. You did games. Yeah. You did Dr. J games.
But after 45 years in this crazy business, people kept telling me, you got to write a book. So I did, and here it is.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.